So in this video, we're going to be going over traverse and their areas. Now a traverse is some shape that is measured on some land surface. And so this is your traverse, and we're going to learn how to find the area inside that traverse that you just laid out and measured. And so there are two methods for determining the area of a traverse. And the first method is going to be by DMD, which stands for your double meridian distance. Or the second method is going to be by the coordinate method. So I think the best way to demonstrate both of these is to just run through an example together. So if we pull this up, this is an example of what your balanced notes will look like. And let's just go ahead and pull up different numbers. So those were the numbers that we used in the written examples, but we'll go ahead and run through a different example to give you more variety. So let's say from A to B, we're going to go north 500 and east 300, and then we're going to go south 400 and east 400, and then we're going to go south another 200, and then we'll head west 300, and then we're going to head north again at 200, and west 200, and then we're going to go south 100, and then we're going to go west 200. All right, so let's go ahead and just start out by laying out this traverse. So we're going to start at our point A, and we're going to draw our side AB. So to get to AB, we've got to go up 500, and to the east 300, and we'll arrive at B there. And then we're going to go south 400 and east 400. And we'll get to C there. And then to get to D, we're going to go south 200 and west 300. 400. And we'll get it D. And then to get to E, we're going to go up 200. And west 200. To get at E. And then to get to back to A, we're going to go down 100 and west 200. So this is our traverse that we want to know the area of. And so again, we're going to go ahead and do that using both the DMD method and the coordinate method. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this out of the way so we can focus on these notes up here. So first, let's go ahead and let's look at the DMD method. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to want to set up your notes in a table that makes it easier for you to do the math for finding the area of this traverse. So you're going to want to start with your point is going to be a column in that table. And then you're going to have your adjusted lengths. And as part of your adjusted lengths, you're going to have your latitudes and your departures. And then you're going to have your DMD. And then you're going to have your double area. And you're going to have a positive area and a negative area. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our point A. And if we start at A, to get from A to B, we're going to go north 500 and east 300. So our latitude is going to be a positive 500 and a positive 300. And then we just follow that table all the way down for all of the points. So for B to C, we're going to go south 400. So this is going to be a negative 400. And then again, we're going east 400, so that's a positive 400. And then C to D, we're going to have a negative 200 because we're going south, and a negative 300 because then we're heading east. And then for D, we're going to have a positive 200 and then a negative 200. And then E, we're going to have a negative 100 and a negative 200. So that's how you're going to set up your table, and then you're going to go ahead and start calculating your DMD from there. And so your equation for your DMD is going to be this. DMD is going to equal your previous DMD plus your previous departure plus the current departure. So what that means is that for point A, your DMD, or we don't have a previous DMD, so that's going to be 0. We don't have a previous departure, so that's going to be 0. And then our current departure is 300. So we're going to have a total of 300 for our DMD for point A. So for point B, our previous DMD is 300, plus our previous departure is also 300, plus our current departure is going to be 400. So previous DMD, previous departure, current departure, for a total of 1,000. And then for C, previous DMD, 1,000, plus our previous departure is 400, plus our current departure is a negative 300. So we're going to get 1100. And for D, previous DMD, 1100 plus our previous departure is a negative 300 plus our current departure, negative 200, for a total of 600. And then finally for E, previous departure, which is 600 plus our previous departure, which is negative 200, current departure 200, for a total of 200. Now we're going to go ahead and find our double area. So our double area we've set up in 2 columns here, positive and negative. And so when you find that area, rather than keeping track of signs, you can just place them in different columns, and it'll be easier to keep track of. So your double area equation is going to be your DMD times your latitude. So it's going to be this times this, which is going to be positive times a positive, which is a positive. So you're going to place it in the positive column. So that's going to be with 4 zeros. So it's going to be 150,000. And then this times this, positive times a negative. So we're going to place it in the negative column. So we're going to have 4 plus 5 zeros. And then this times this, which should actually be 200. I don't know where that other 0 went, but that's okay. That's why we go back and check ourselves. So 1100 times negative 200 equals a negative 20,000. No, 1100 times a negative 200, negative 220,000. So place that in the negative column. 4 zeros on that. And then 600 times 200, which is going to be a positive 6. It's going to be 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And then finally, 200 times negative 100, place it in the negative column. 2 with 4 zeros. So now you're going to take the sum of both of these columns, and the difference between those sums is going to be your double area. So we're going to go 150,000 plus 120,000 equals 270,000. And then for our negative column, yeah, 640,000. So as I said before, the absolute value of the difference of these sums is going to equal 2 times your area. So the difference of those is going to be equal to 270,000 minus 640,000, which is going to be equal to 370,000, and that's feet squared. And so that's what 2a equals. So to get a, you're just going to divide by 2. It's going to be 185,000 feet squared. And then once you get to this point, you're going to want to convert into acres, just because that's what we use to describe land area in the U.S. And so the conversion you're going to use for that is 1 acre equals 43,560 feet squared. So we've got our 185,000 feet squared. And then we're just going to set up a unit conversion. So we've got feet squared on top here, so we need feet squared on bottom here so that they'll cancel out. Stick acre on the top. We know 1 acre, 43,560. Again, your feet will cancel. You'll be left with acres. So you can just plug that into your calculator. Uh, 43,560. And you'll be left with 4.25 acres, which is a pretty decent size of land. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the coordinate method, and we'll go ahead and use the same example so that way you can see that you end up with the same answer. All right, so we've got our notes there. Let's go ahead and bring down what we drew of our traverse as well. Let's resize that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, let's go ahead and erase some of this stuff in here. So this is what our traverse looks like. And so what this coordinate method does is it sets up an axis. And so this point over here, you're going to call 1,000, 1,000, or any point on the traverse. I just like to start with the point that is on the most left-hand side. That way you're just adding as you go right. And so I'm just going to arbitrarily say that A sits on this coordinate system at 1,000, 1,000. And so now we're going to go through and find all the other different coordinates for these points. And in order to do that, we can just use these values from our notes up here. So let's go ahead and just move this out of the way for now. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say point X and Y. And if you remember, X is going to be your east, west values, and Y is going to be your north, south values. So again, just list our points out, A, B, C, D, E, and then we're going to go back to A to complete our full traverse. So as I said, we're just going to arbitrarily set A at 1,000, 1,000. And then to get to B, we're going to have to go up 500. So we're going to have 1,500 B. And then we're going to go east 300. So that's going to be 1,300. And then to get to C, we're going to go down 400. So subtract 400 from up here, which is 1,100. And then we're going to go east 400. So we're going to add 400, which is going to make this 1,700. And then to get to D, we're going to have to go down 200. So that's over here in your Y column. So you subtract 200 from that. So you're going to get 900. And then in the X direction, you're going to move west 300. So you're going to subtract 300 from 1,700, which is 1,400. And then to get to E, we're going to go up 200, which is going to take us back to 1,100. And we're going to go west 200, which is going to take us to 1,200. And then to get back to A, we're going to go down 100, which will take us to 1,000. And then we're going to go west 200, which again takes us back to 1,000. Now, it's really important that you get back to your 1,000, 1,000. Otherwise, you made an arithmetic mistake somewhere. So once you've done that, then you're going to draw these solid and dashed lines. And so you're going to start with your X value here and start drawing solid lines on the diagonal just to the value right below the one that's straight across from it. So just one below, one below, one below, one below. And then you come back up to the top and you draw these dashed lines in the same manner going the opposite direction. So just one below till you get to the end. Now, your double area of your traverse is going to be equal to the sum of the products of your solids minus the sum of the products of your dashed. So what that means is for these solid lines, you're going to multiply these two numbers that are connecting together and add them to all the other solid lines. And then you're going to do the same thing with the dashed lines. And then you're going to take the difference of those two. So for our case, this is going to be equal to 1,000 times 1,500 plus 1,300 times 1,100 plus 1,700 times 900 plus 1,400 times 1,100 plus 1,200 times 1,000. And then you're going to subtract the sum of the products of your dashed lines. So 1,000 times 1,300 plus 1,500 times 1,700 plus 1,100 times 1,400 plus 900 times 1,200 plus 1,100 times 1,000. And when you put all of that into your calculator, And you're going to want to be really careful when you're plugging all of this into your calculator because it's really easy to make a mistake. So let's see if I can get this correct on the first try. We're going to get times plus, times plus, times plus, plus times 720, 0, 1, 2, 3, 7,200,000 minus 757, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So you take the difference of those two, you can just plug that into your calculator. And the absolute value of the difference of that is going to be 370,000 feet squared. And again, that is equal to 2a. And so to get a, you just divide that by 2. So you'll be left with 185,000 feet squared. And again, we're going to want to get that into acres. So you can just do your unit conversion. 1 acre is equal to 43,560 feet squared. Feet will cancel. You'll be left with acres, which is what we want. And you'll have 4.25. And if you plug that into your calculator, you'll get that we have 4.25 acres, which is exactly what we got with our DMD method above. So as you can see, it doesn't matter which method you use, it's totally up to personal preference, depending on which one you're more comfortable with or which one you feel like you'll make less mistakes with. For me personally, I feel like I make more mistakes with this DMD method, and I make less mistakes with the coordinate method. And I think that's just because I write everything out, and I can go, and it's really easy to check in your calculator and things like that. But again, if you're not super confident in either one, then you can do it both ways. And if you get the same answer, more likely than not, you did it correctly, which is kind of nice. If you have any questions, you can head over to our homework help page, and we'll be able to get you specific homework help there. Or if you're just struggling with either of these methods in general, head over to our tutoring page, and I'll be able to sit down with you and walk through one of these with you.